It's 5:42 now at KFBK. We're going to go to Scot Murdoch, our K4K reporter who is there on scene in Roseville. So, Scott, it looks like we've got 3 officers who've been shot this afternoon, huh?
Yes, and I'm hoping that we can confirm that in the media conference, which they're expected to hold in about 20 minutes now. Right now, what I can tell you is I am down the street. There's still helicopters overhead. There's worried residents all around me. I can see a number of police cars as well as some fire trucks down the street. However, it doesn't seem like they're in a hurry, like they're searching for a suspect anymore. So the inclination that they might have the suspect pinned might be true. And again, we'll wait till 6 o'clock to have that all confirmed.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad there's a press conference, and we'll be bringing that. We have Scot Murdoch, our KFBK reporter, who's been there much of the afternoon, and perhaps you can give us an update or more of the recap, Scott.
Yes, well, what I can tell you more about those Roseville PD officers that were shot. We know that one was shot in the jaw, and this is not shrapnel. This was an actual bullet.
Okay.
One was shot in the jaw. The other one was shot in the shoulder. Now, one of those 2 officers is in serious condition. We do not know which one yet. We do know that one of those 2 officers is in serious condition. As far as the ICE officer and the other Roseville PD officer, they are expected to recover. Their wounds are not considered serious as for right now. Now, as you were saying, this all started around 3 o'clock with ICE and Roseville. Why ICE was there, we still have not figured that out. They were contacting Sammy Duran, who was wanted for parole violations and had been searched for by law enforcement for the last couple of weeks. Since then, he has jumped fences, shot at officers, and is now holed up in that home off 6th Street in Hampton. Okay?
All right, Scot Murdoch reporting there, and 7:41 now at KFBK. Let's go back to our reporter, Scot Murdoch. He is live on scene, and the latest we have is that now SWAT officers are talking to the suspect. Scott, what can you add?
As John McGinnis put it best, it's pretty much just a waiting game right now. Hostage negotiators, SWAT officers, his family, they're all trying to talk to him right now as he's holed up in this house on 6th and Harmon. We're here at Vernon and Kirby where we're awaiting more information from the Roseville PD. What I can say is that there's a lot of attention being gathered as residents continue to come home and finding that their roads have been barricaded. And as far as those roads opening, it probably won't happen anytime soon. As Roseville PD said, there's 3 separate crime scenes, and they're all being investigated at this current time while investigators try to piece together this case. Okay?
All right, Scot Murdoch reporting live. Thank you. 7:42 now. We'll get back to your calls right after we get this quick update. We've got our reporter, Scot Murdoch, who's on scene there, has been there all afternoon. Scott, so last we heard, the SWAT team was talking to the suspect in the home. Any motion, any news?
No, as far as that goes, it's still a wait and see. But as a little bit of good news came out, as Dana said, they are picking up residents who have been displaced. That includes residents who may be on the outer edge of the perimeter. They're asking that if they are holed up and they need to get out, to contact police, and they will help them get out. Now, we've also heard that there may be a daycare that is actually within this perimeter with kids that are still holed up inside. We still have yet to confirm that, but we have heard that. We also know more about the individual. His name is 32-year-old Samuel Nathan Duran. He is a resident of Roseville, which is why he is so well known around here. And again, everybody's trying to reach out to him, hostage negotiators, SWAT, even his family pleading for him to surrender. But for now, it's just kind of a wait and see what happens.
All right. Well, we thank you for that. It's Scot Murdoch there reporting. It is 9:26 now at News Radio KFBK. I'm Kitty O'Neill. John McGinnis here too, taking your calls. And we have learned a couple of things in the recent time here in the past few minutes about this suspect, Sammy Duran, who's holed up in that home still in Roseville. 1, he's been on the run for about a week, and 2, he's been shot. We're going to go now live to Roseville. KPK reporter Scot Murdoch has more. Scott?
Yes, it continues to be a wait-and-see situation out here on Vernon and Kirby as the suspect remains in the house. As we wait, the story is starting to come together. As you said, this suspect has been on the run for about a week. We also know why the ICE agent was there. Roseville PD says it is not uncommon for ICE to assist them on situations like this, especially in a neighborhood that's as heavily Spanish-speaking as this one. ICE agents come in handy as a translator. We also know that the daycare that was trapped inside the perimeter, those kids were able to get out safe, and are now reunited with their parents. Now, as far as anybody else who's trapped on the perimeter, Roseville PD continues to insist that if you want to get out, if you feel unsafe, they will do their best to get you out of there. They just ask that you contact them. There has been a shelter set up at Maydew Community Center at 1550 Maydew. If you cannot get there to the community center yourself, there is buses picking up residents that have been displaced by this at 1600 Vernon Street or at 6th and Vernon. Kitty?
All right, Scott, and can you tell us about the law enforcement presence there? Is it certainly it's diminished somewhat from at the height of this manhunt, but it's still pretty solid, I bet.
Oh, yes, it still remains strong. There's still more cars than I can count. We still have a number of different agencies, including Citrus Heights, Placer County, Sac County, Roseville PD. That's just to name a few. So law enforcement presence is still heavy out here.
And how about the media presence? I suspect that's still continuing.
There are still some media outlets out here. Some have gone to the community center where residents are being taken. But as far as we know right now, there's still some media outlets out here. Also, another piece of good news, I don't know if you guys have been able to report it yet or not. One of the Roseville PD officers that was injured was released from the hospital today. It was the one who received the shrapnel wounds. The other three law enforcement individuals that were shot today are still remaining in the hospital. Their condition is not really known yet.
Okay, well, that's some good news.
Good news on the release.
At
That's
least one
excellent.
is released.
Yeah.
All right, Scot Murdoch reporting. Thank you so much there.
An officer-involved shooting in Roseville is still an active scene. 3 law enforcement officers were wounded. Let's go live to Scot Murdoch at the command center. Scott, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you that we are still in a wait-and-see mode. However, we do have some good news for Roseville residents. Roseville police are now shrinking the perimeter so that some residents may now be allowed to come back into their homes. The new perimeter is now from 5th Street to the BMX track and from Riverside to Vernon. That is now where the new perimeter has set up, once again, smaller than the older perimeter, so some Roseville residents will be allowed to go back into their homes. Some updates for you. We do know that one Roseville police officer has been released from the hospital. She was the officer who received shrapnel wounds. There are still 2 other Roseville police officers, as well as the ICE agent that was shot. They are still in the hospital. Their condition remains stable. Joe?
All right, thank you so much, Scott. Roseville Press Tribune reporter Scott.